Matt. How you doing?
Doing great, Rob. How are you?
Good, thanks. You might end up starting an offensive line that hasn't played together at all this year, but obviously those are good players that you're getting back. Just wondering what you have to do to make sure that the continuity and communication is sharp, though.
I think you just got to go out there and practice at a high level. Make sure these guys are. You said it. Communication's so absolutely critical. Certainly, we would love to have more time with these guys on task, but it is what it is, and you know how we operate in terms of just trying to get the best five that we think is going to put us in the best position to have success.
Steve McGargy.
I think you were in Houston when D'Amico Ryans was playing there. I was just wondering what you remembered about him, if you kind of sensed he might be a future coach, and just what if your impression's been of him, the way he's kind of coordinated that defense in San Francisco.
Yeah, D'Amico was a coach on the field. He was a great player, man. Brought just so much to the team. Is very intelligent guy. Was really physical. Just he was the quarterback of the defense. So when I found out that he was going to get into coaching, it definitely always crossed my mind that he would be a hell of a coach, and he's proven that. And I've got a lot of relationships with a lot of guys over on that staff, and everybody speaks the world of him. Robert Sala speaks the world of him. So it's well deserved. High praise. It's well deserved. He works his tail off, and I imagine that he will be a future head coach in this league.
Mark Daniels.
Hey, Matt, how are you?
I'm great, Mark. How are you?
Hey, Matt, good, thanks. Matt, can you just talk about the attention to detail your team has when it comes to penalties, fewest in the league, fewest per game, and how important that is to carry that season-long focus in that aspect of the game, considering how the Niners were really able to take advantage of what happened to Dallas last weekend?
Yeah, I think it's a combination of a lot of things. I think it's, the character of our players, just really trusting the fundamentals. I think our coaches do a great job of stressing that. And, but ultimately it's on our guys just being disciplined in their approach and making sure that they take their practice habits to the game field.
Mike Swafford.
Hey Matt, hope all's well. Not just in week three when you guys played the 49ers, but it seems these two teams maybe more so than a usual year played a lot of down to the wire, just last second final possession type of games. What does that mean when you get to this stage of the postseason?
Yeah, I think it's more or less the mentality that not necessarily knowing how it's going to get done, just the belief that it's going to get done. But like you mentioned, it goes both ways for both teams, and ultimately we got to go out there. We got to play our best ball. I've said it too many times probably now. This is just a very well coached team, a very tough and physical team, and I mean they're explosive in every phase of the game. So it's going to be so important for us just to be able to go out there and everybody playing their role and doing the best job possible.
Ryan Wood.
Hey, Matt, when you look at your run defense now, how you've played it schematically this year, your production as a run defense, how is it different than maybe it was 2 years ago?
I think the emphasis, I would say, is there. I thought, even last year, I thought our run defense improved quite a bit. But ultimately, you got to go out there and do it. And certainly their run game presents a number of different challenges, just not only from the scheme and how they coach it and the players that they have, but just the different looks that they give you. So it's going to be absolutely imperative that our guys understand, gap responsibility and playing disciplined football.
Bill Huber.
Hi, Matt. This probably runs a little bit in parallel with what Bob asked you a minute ago, but it looked like, just especially with Bosa out on Sunday, that they ran a bunch of twists and games and stuff like that up front to create pressure. Was that just unusual for that game, or is that something that they've been doing a lot?
They definitely do it quite a bit. So it just depends on, what their defensive call is, I would say. But it definitely has shown up with or without Bosa.
Dave Schrader.
Hey, Matt, obviously Aaron Jones has shown his production year after year after year, but it's not every day that running backs get paid big contracts in the NFL. You guys have invested in him. I'm wondering, what of his skills do you think are the most important and made it worth that investment? And do any of those, I guess, are any of those more magnified in the playoffs, do you think?
I think it's the culmination of all his skills, and not only that, but just the person he is, the type of teammate he is, the leader he is on this team. He embodies what we want Green Bay Packers to be all about. I mean, that is Aaron to a T. He is as selfless as they come. Certainly, the things he does off the field and for others is well noted and well documented, and but he's an explosive player. He's a problem not only in the run game but in the pass game. And shoot, I know he's not the biggest guy, but he does a great job in pass protection as well. Throwing his face in there, and I just think he's a complete player.
Aaron Nagler.
Coach, given that you faced the 49ers once already this year, how soon after you knew they were your opponent for the divisional round, do you have something already worked up as far as like a basic template game plan, what have you, or do you start completely from scratch?
No, I think, yeah, we're pretty familiar with each other. So there is, I would say, certain things that we know we want to do really in every phase. But, just kind of anticipating that this could happen. We spent some time on them last week. That's just the respect that we have for that team, knowing that that they were as capable as anybody to get to this point.
Mike Clemens.
Your first year here, you talked about to maximize your home field advantage to get the fans into it. And the fans started to respond. The stadium crew has added things. And now there's these moments on third downs where you start waving your arms, not to your bench, but to the fans. And it's working because of and when we're up there in the press box, we see in the sideline, it's eye catching. Do you feel it? And have you, what's that feel like? What's that response when you did it the very first time?
Yeah, like we tell our team, it's whatever it takes. So whatever role you got to play in it to help bring some that energy, that juice, that support, we'll do whatever. That means being a cheerleader on the sidelines. I'm all for it. So, but we're very appreciative. We got the best fans in the National Football League, and for them to respond to that, it adds a lot, and probably more so than anybody ever knows. I mean, that is very, very difficult on an offense when they have a hard time communicating. So, it's going to be so important that our fans are nice and loud for us, and they either keep their tickets and come to the game or sell them to Green Bay Packer fans.
Darius Joshua.
Hey, Matt, way back when you guys played the Niners the first time, Alan Lazard had one catch in that game, the first catch of the opening drive, and kind of in the last 4 or 5 weeks of this season, he's really – how do you think that what do you think that does for him heading into this postseason with that kind of production that he's working with heading into this game?
Well, I think with any player that gets opportunities and they come through, I think that you can't help but build some confidence. Allen obviously wears a lot of different hats for us, and just not only in the passing game, but just his role in our run game, his contributions that are felt on special teams, and he's kind of a tone setter for us. And it's great to see guys that are so selfless, that put themselves out there, that for a receiver, it's not always the most glamorous position to be in when you're asking to sift defensive ends or whatever it may be. But he always comes through for us, and he's got a guy that we have a ton of confidence in, and just really lucky to have players such as him on our football team.
Stephen Watson.
Hey, Matt, I know the other day, Kyle, talking to reporters in San Fran, said that there's no drama on the handshake after week 3. You guys are all good. I'm curious for you, kind of a 2-part question. Does it mean more to you to beat somebody that's a friend and has helped you along in your career? And also, I was listening to the Pardon My Take podcast from last week and heard that there were some wrestling matches in the past between the two of you and your days with the Fun Boys. Can you let us in on that?
I don't know what the Fun Boys are, Steven, but yeah, no, we're very close friends. Certainly a guy that I respect as much as anybody in this profession, not only just for the opportunities that he provided for myself, my family. Shoot, my brother wouldn't be where he is today either without the help from Kyle. He's a guy that we've learned a lot of ball from, and I think that's the thing that I respect the most out, from him is not only how he treated us but how he educated us in the game of football. I mean, he is a savant in that regard. But I think it's a little bittersweet when you're playing guys that you have a lot of respect for. Certainly, when you're playing against them, you want to beat anybody. It doesn't matter who it is across the sidelines. But yeah, it is a little bittersweet because you want your friends and people that are close to you to do well in this profession, but unfortunately, it just can't ever be at your demise.
Nothing about the wrestling matches?
Yeah, I'll leave that for another day.
Greg Matzik.
Hey, Matt, I know you spoke before the end of the season about, the opportunity to get Jair and Za'Darius on the field. It would have been great to see them take snaps during the regular season. You mentioned that. They didn't get that opportunity, obviously. If they are medically cleared, I know there's some hypotheticals involved here, but do you envision them regaining their usual customary role, or do the lack of snaps and so many weeks haven't gone by, is there an acclimation process for them to sort of get their feet back underneath them?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I think it's going to be, you see how a guy's feeling in game if we get to that point. But you don't want to just load them up and expect them to go out there and play 60 snaps. I think that's a little unrealistic at this point. But, we'll see where they're at, and hopefully they can give us some contributions. Obviously, the players definitely stand out. I mean, shoot, Jair had as big an impact in that first time that we played San Francisco as anybody on the field. So to get those two players back would be a huge boost for our defense.
Do two more. MK Burgess.
Matt, will David Bakhtiari be out there today, and what are you hoping for him for the rest of the week?
Yeah, he'll be out there today, and again, we'll just take it, one day at a time, just see how he responds to the load that he gets at practice. Certainly, he's a guy that obviously he played at a really high level in his limited snaps versus Detroit. I was really impressed with his ability to go out there, but ultimately it just will consult with himself and our medical people and make the best decision for us.
And really quick, what's the status with Cobb? I know you said you guys were going to give him, you didn't play him in Detroit because you wanted to give him the extra 2 weeks. Where is he at?
Yeah, Cobby's coming along great, and he looks good at practice, so I would anticipate him playing in this game.
And last one, Tom Silverstein.
Hey, Matt. I think there were a couple times Deebo Samuel carried the ball against you guys, and I don't think he got any yards against you in the last meeting. What's sort of advanced, what has Kyle done with him in recent times to get him outside, and what's the real danger of having him in the backfield?
Well, there's so many parts to that, Tom, in terms of just what personnel groupings they're in, and then all of a sudden a back's out wide and Deebo's in the backfield. If we're in nickel defense, where is our nickel fitting? So it does create some obstacles for us to kind of work through defensively. But I think it's just like anything, the more reps players get, typically the better they get. And him being a wide receiver and getting those carries throughout the course of the season, it's obvious when you cut on the tape what his playmaking ability is with the ball in his hand. He's capable of taking it the distance, whether it's in the pass game, whether he's getting a jet sweep, whether he's in the backfield. Shoot, you saw it last week versus Dallas, just the impact that he had on that game. So he's a guy that we definitely have to know exactly where he's at on every snap. We've got to communicate well, and we've got to make sure we do a great job of gang tackling, of swarming. He's a very, very physical runner that can break a lot of tackles, and if you don't have multiple hats at the football, he's going to present a lot of problems for you.